Coronation Street teases that a seemingly joyous occasion will soon turn into a quiet storm of family tension and unresolved emotions. It begins with the baptism of baby Layla, a celebration that should symbolize unity, tradition, and love. But beneath the surface, wounds left unspoken are about to crack open, and at the center of it all is Dee Dee Bailey. Dee Dee had spent weeks preparing for Layla's baptism. Her daughter's milestone was not only a spiritual ceremony, but a public declaration of her own journey as a mother, and perhaps even a fresh start. The invitations had been sent out, the priest booked, the church decorated in delicate white flowers and golden banners. But amid the bustle, one name was deliberately left off the guest list: James. Her brother. The omission wasn't a mistake. Dee Dee had made the decision consciously, though not without guilt. In her mind, James had grown distant, wrapped in his own world, too quick to judge her choices and too slow to show up when it mattered. But more than that, she feared he would cast a shadow over the day, bringing questions, disapproval, or awkward silences. Still, deep down, she knew this wasn't entirely fair. She had made her assumptions, and now, consequences would follow. James, unaware of the baptism entirely, went about his morning without knowledge of what was unfolding at the church on Rosamond Street. While the pews filled with friends and smiling faces, and Layla was swaddled in a satin white gown, James was sipping coffee alone, scrolling his phone, oblivious. Among those present were Adam Bullough and Alia Nazir, chosen to be Layla's godparents. They arrived early, offering Dee Dee warm congratulations and small gifts for the child. As the priest prepared to begin the service, Adam glanced around and frowned. "Where's James?" he asked, voice low but curious. Dee Dee hesitated. "Oh, he couldn't make it. Busy. Something came up, I think." Adam arched an eyebrow, immediately suspicious. Olia's eyes narrowed slightly too. "You didn't invite him, did you?" Dee Dee gave a nervous laugh. "Let's just focus on today, yeah." Adam said nothing more for the moment, but his discomfort was evident. The ceremony moved forward. The priest asked who would guide Layla in faith and values, and Adam and Olia stepped forward dutifully. But Adam's expression remained tight. Later, at the modest reception in Victoria Gardens, the question returned. "Why didn't you invite James?" Adam asked again, this time directly, away from the crowd. Dee Dee, caught off guard, replied with a shrug, "It didn't seem necessary. He's never around anymore." Adam frowned. "He's your brother, Dee. If anyone deserved to be here, it was him. What message do you think this sends?" Olia joined in, gently placing a hand on Dee Dee's arm. "You may think he's distant, but maybe that's exactly why this mattered more than ever. Families are messy, but they don't get stronger if you cut people out." Dee Dee looked down, her throat tight. She had spent years carving out her own space, being the responsible one, the fixer, the sister who never needed to be rescued. But perhaps in doing so, she had shut out the people who wanted to matter. Adam, unable to shake the awkwardness of James's absence, finally sent a text. It was short, pointed, but sincere. "Wish you were here, mate. You missed something special." James read the message late that afternoon. The words stung. He hadn't even known the baptism was happening. Confusion turned to hurt, and hurt turned to anger. But he didn't lash out. Instead, he sat with the silence, the way one does when betrayal is so quiet it almost feels imagined. Later that evening, James showed up at Dee Dee's door. She opened it, surprised, nervous. "James. I didn't think you'd." "No, you didn't think," James said, his voice calm but clipped. "Not about me, anyway." Dee Dee stepped aside to let him in. The air between them was taut. I didn't want to make it complicated, she began. James let out a short, humorless laugh. You thought inviting your brother to his niece's baptism would complicate things. She didn't respond. I would have come, he continued. Even if we don't talk like we used to. Even if things have changed. I'm still her uncle. Still your brother. Doesn't that count for something? Dee Dee turned away, suddenly emotional. It does. Of course it does. I thought maybe you wouldn't want to be there. That it would be easier to leave you out than risk another fight. James was quiet for a moment. Then he said, sometimes what we avoid saying is the one thing that needs to be said. You could have asked. You didn't. The words hit home. Later, after James left, Olya and Adam stopped by to check on Dee Dee. She told them what had happened. You have to fix it, Olya said simply. You can't pretend things will go back to normal. You have to talk, really talk. Adam nodded. He's hurt, but he came to see you. That means something. Over the next few days, Dee Dee considered their words. She thought about her childhood with James, how he had been her protector once, how they had shared secrets, fought side by side against the world. Somewhere along the way, they had drifted, but the thread had never snapped. Not completely. Finally, she called him. They met at Speeddale on a quiet evening. No accusations this time, no clipped responses. Just conversation. I was wrong, Dee Dee said. You should have been there. I made a selfish choice. And I'm sorry. James nodded slowly. You hurt me. But maybe I haven't been the best brother lately either. Maybe we both stopped trying. So let's try again, she said. And in that small, vulnerable moment, they began to. What had started as silence now turned into understanding, and while the road ahead was far from perfect, one thing was clear: family, fractured as it may be, still had the power to heal. The days following Dee Dee and James's quiet reconciliation were marked by a delicate calm. The storm between them had passed, but clouds still lingered, hanging in the spaces between conversations. While they had both acknowledged fault, the healing had only just begun, and there were questions left unspoken, questions about trust, presence, and whether the wounds they inflicted on each other were fully understood. James tried to be more present, especially with Layla. He dropped by unannounced, sometimes with small gifts, other times just to sit with her while she napped. He'd talk to her in hushed tones, telling her stories of their family, of his own childhood with Dee Dee. It was an effort not only to connect with his niece, but to bridge the distance he still felt between himself and his sister. Each visit softened the wall Dee Dee had built, brick by invisible brick. But despite the visible progress, there were still tensions beneath the surface. One afternoon, Adam invited James and Dee Dee over for lunch at the bistro, a quiet setting meant to foster more than just polite catch-ups. Olya had orchestrated the gathering, hopeful that more time spent together could help ease what had yet to be spoken aloud. The meal started casually. Layla slept peacefully in her pram while they talked about everyday things, work, neighborhood gossip, the weather. But when the plates were cleared and coffee was served, Olya leaned forward. Can I ask something honest? Dee Dee tensed, already sensing the shift. Why didn't you just talk to James before the baptism? Why not ask him if he wanted to be part of it? There was a pause. James didn't interject. He looked at Dee Dee, waiting. Because I was afraid, she admitted. Afraid that you'd judge me, or that you wouldn't understand why I chose Adam and Olya as godparents. James frowned. Why would I be upset about that? I think they're a great choice. It wasn't just that, she continued, glancing at Adam, then back to James. I thought you wouldn't want to be there. We barely talked in the weeks leading up to it. You were distant. I thought maybe we were broken beyond fixing. James took a moment to respond. I wasn't distant to punish you, Dee. I was dealing with my own stuff. But that didn't mean I didn't want to be part of your life. Or Layla's. You didn't give me the chance. Silence followed. It was painful, but honest. Adam, never one to leave emotional loose ends dangling, added his own perspective. You both need each other. I can see that. And I think, deep down, you know it too. The lunch ended with a quiet understanding. James and Dee Dee agreed to meet more regularly. No more assumptions. No more silence. But old habits die hard. A week later, James discovered that Dee Dee had scheduled Layla's naming ceremony at the local parish hall, and again, he hadn't been consulted. This time, he confronted her right away. You said things would be different, he told her. But you're still making big decisions without me. Dee Dee, frustrated, snapped back. Because I thought it was my right. I'm her mother. And I'm her uncle. I'm not asking to make the decisions for you, Dee. I just want to be included. It was then that Dee Dee realized she still hadn't shed the part of herself that equated asking for help with weakness. She had grown up being the fixer, the glue, the resilient one. Leaning on James, or trusting his involvement felt like relinquishing control. But in trying to protect herself, she had unintentionally excluded the very person who wanted to stand beside her. She apologized again, this time not with rehearsed words, but with an open heart. I keep saying sorry, James, but I'm still making the same mistakes. I need to stop seeing you as someone from my past and start seeing you as someone who deserves to be part of my future. This time, James smiled. That's all I wanted. The naming ceremony became a shared event. James helped organize the catering, chose a poem to read during the blessing, and even picked out a small gold pendant to give Layla as a keepsake. It wasn't just about being involved anymore. It was about being seen, acknowledged, and trusted. Olya and Adam remained close, often popping in for dinner or lending a hand with Layla. Their presence brought a much-needed sense of balance. Olya, especially, had a way of grounding Dee Dee when she drifted too far into self-reliance. One evening, as they shared a quiet drink, Olya said, being strong doesn't mean doing it all alone. That line stayed with Dee Dee. And then, something unexpected happened. James received an offer to coach a local youth football team, a chance to stay rooted in Weatherfield while also mentoring young players. It was a role that aligned perfectly with his strengths and gave him a renewed sense of purpose. He confided in Dee Dee before accepting it. I want to be around more. Not just for the team, but for Layla. And for you. The news brought Dee Dee to tears. This time, they weren't from guilt or frustration, but from relief. Slowly, the space between them had transformed into something more stable. The bond had been bruised, but not broken. As the weeks passed, they found new rhythms, Sunday lunches, shared errands, late-night phone calls. Small moments, perhaps, but deeply meaningful. Layla became the light that kept drawing them back to each other, a reminder of what mattered most. And in the end, it wasn't a single apology or grand gesture that mended the rift. It was consistency. Honesty. Showing up. Dee Dee and James had rediscovered not just a sibling bond, but a friendship. One that would guide them, through joy and hardship, into the next chapter of their family's story.